Hey friends, Jewel back with another super cool astrology video, and I wanted to talk about composite moon trine Mars and what happens when we see this very fun, typically fun aspect in a composite chart. So composite charts are midpoint charts, so we take two birth charts and we find the midpoints, and we come to a birth chart of the relationship itself. So it's not like synastry, it's not chart-to-chart comparison, it's a little bit different. So it's the larger view of what is going on between two people. So Moon-Mars aspects indicate a lot of heated emotional involvement because of what these two represent. There's not a lot of objectivity when we're talking about Moon-Mars aspects, especially with the hard aspects. That can happen, lack of objectivity with the easy aspects as well. It can happen. We get down into the thick of things in spite of ourselves when we have a lot of Moon-Mars going on, because we don't have a lot of detachment going on. We're very invested in the feelings that are flying back between us, and we tend to get right into the eye of the hurricane and fight for it with Moon-Mars aspects. So with the trine, we respond to emotional stimulus, outside goings-on, things that rock our boat, similarly. We have a similar style of reacting to those things. So this creates a certain amount of being able to keep the peace, because we don't have any friction when it comes to our reactions. We have agreement about those things, so it tends to make us feel like we're more on the same team with that. Because Moon-Mars issues in synastry and composite charts stem from differing emotional reactions. So that's why we get irritated with each other, because one reacts differently or one does differently, and then it's like, well, why did you do that? Or, well, why did you have to say that? And then we're going around and around with this. So we tend to react the same with the trines. So we don't get down into the sandbox and start going back and forth about, well, why did you make me feel like that? And so we do need to make sure not to repress the other person when we have the trine going on. Well, especially with the hard aspects, do not even try with that. But with the trine, we don't want to do that either, because it has enough power behind it to create an explosion. What we repress ends up boiling up, like oil. From when we finally strike oil, you are not going to be able to put a cap on that thing. So it's about, Moon-Mars aspects. When we uncap it, it really does spew open. So it's, they're always going to be emotional. It ramps up the emotional reactions in any aspect, Moon-Mars aspects. Because the flow of energy is easy in the trine, that's why it can show up as explosive, because it may not be a hard aspect, but the conduit is, the wiring can deliver enough intensity to be something that is dramatic, even with the trine. So we don't want to try to keep a lid on each other. We don't want to try to keep a lid on each other's reactions if they do happen to be different. But we're seeing with the trine that typically they're very much on the same page. We typically have good sex when we have this particular trine. When we have any combination of Moon and Mars, we tend to have good sexual connection, especially with the easy aspects, though, because our timing and our desires are very similar. And so we don't get that awkward, we kind of have to learn about each other, and then we can kind of get on the same page. It's very natural with the sextile, the trine, the quintile, the conjunction as well. And the square makes things super hot. The opposition, you want to rip each other's clothes off and each other's faces off at the same time. So it's it's a good connection and shows that we over time keep the feelings related to the sexual connection alive. It's very much a synergistic process when we have Moon Mars sexual relationships, where the feelings are enhanced by the sexual relationship is enhanced by the feelings, and so they feed off of each other very much. So the more we're actually fighting, typically, and the more we're making each other feel that passion, the more we're, a lot of times with the heart aspect, irritating each other, the more we want each other. With the trine, we don't need to drive each other nuts before we drive each other into the bedroom. We just naturally have this really good rhythm. So it's good for, long-term sexual relationships. It's good for working partners too. This is actually a really good trine if you want to work well with somebody, because we can get down to business pretty good, because our reactions and our way of pursuing a goal can be really, really much the same. So it's easy to get on the same team as somebody and go after somebody. So this one does contribute in romantic relationships and in general relationships to a sense of kind of just being on the same team. So I hope this was helpful. If it was, please subscribe to my channel. You can find me on the internet at truthandaspectastrology.com. Yes, I do private consultation. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Truth and Aspect Astrology. I'll be back super soon with more super cool videos. Bye-bye.